Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Friday evening edition. So yesterday we did all the basing on the 4 stands of the Huns. Got them to look like this. And this morning I started putting the base color on 3 of them. So we're going to put the base color on these guys and then finish the other stands up to this level. That's the goal. I think we can accomplish that. I think we can accomplish that. Let me check on one thing. Okay. All right. Move that out of the way. We got to start with a better brush to get in between the horse's legs. For starters. This process actually takes a lot longer than it should. But it's either you're careful or you end up painting over something that you were really taking your time on earlier. So oh yeah, the yarn begins. So once this is done, we'll have 5 stands of Hun Light Horse complete. I got half a line to do something different next. Like make it work on the 2 fast bows or something like that. Maybe I'll do that instead. Mix it up a little bit. I can worry about that when I'm done. We did a foray last night into my old stomping grounds, a realm called World War II. World War II skirmish. I had a lot of fun doing that, taking a look at things I hadn't looked at in a long time. Why had I no idea that some miniatures just wouldn't be made again? I didn't know that molds just deteriorated like that. I also hadn't planned on buying something and then not doing anything with it for 20 years. had no idea that was a thing. But I did do a little bit of surfing since I pulled out the 20mm stuff, and there's a lot of people selling 3D printed stuff that would be pretty cool to have, including like, rubbish piles, piles of like scrap and stuff that you could make barricades and stuff out of. Buildings and shit. I gotta paint the buildings I have. Doc Munoz, welcome. Finishing up a Napoleonic project at the moment, then moving on to some Flames of War. I had no idea the Napoleonics were as popular as they are. Maybe I just had a bad experience that the people that I saw that were playing Napoleonics just didn't have bad guys. It just didn't seem like they were having the amount of fun that I was having. Looking forward to getting back into World War II for a change of pace. Yeah. I've done the operational scale stuff before, and I'm interested in doing stuff that has a good narrative. The interesting things happen and they're worth talking about. If the game's too abstract or something like that, then I don't have as much appeal for it. I don't know why I've been able to put up with this game, as abstract as it is, for so long, but I have. But it was weird going to play a game that used a D6, a single D6. It was weird. I come from a percentile background. Why do I have a notification on that? Yeah, of course I have that program up, or you guys wouldn't be seeing anything. So actually, I wish the next month would just hurry up, because I really want to play those Victorian rules and see if I like how they operate. If they give me enough decisions to make. That's basically what it boils down to. If they're like kind of autopilot rules, like, well, it's obvious the only thing you should do now is shoot. If it's really one-sided like that, that's going to be a lack of a interest to me. But I do like the scale of the game, because it seems like they have little groups of like 6 or 8 guys. It'd be real easy to be like, if you were painting English or something like that, like, paint like 6 or 8 line infantry, and then you get to paint some Scots, and then you get to paint something else. One of the guys at the club wants to give it a go, so said I'd paint up some stuff using as an excuse to try a painting method on the infantry. Next big project is going to be Crusaders. Oh, I love Oh, I thought you meant Crusader tanks. It's like, I love Crusaders. I'm actually interested in playing something where it doesn't hurt my head trying to figure out what a sentence means. But I do like just showing up and you start rolling dice and laughing about what happens. Started watching a World War II movie that was recommended to me at lunchtime called, it's a really creative title called 1944. I wonder what year it takes place in. It's on Amazon. And the quality in it is really good. Unfortunately, it has something that most movies don't have anymore. And that is, it's dubbed. And it's rare to run, I rarely run across a movie that's dubbed. It's a little distracting, but so far it's okay. I'm only 30 minutes into it or what have you. Finish watching it tomorrow at while I'm waiting for something. No point in doing that now. I don't watch much television, and when I do, I don't watch it when there's something better that can be done in its place. This is something better to be done. Even if nobody else shows up, it's still better. Mr. Nordic, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm kind of hoping I don't like the Victorian rules. I'm hoping I can do some World War II skirmish. But it's going to be a big ass, but it's going to be awesome if I do it. I think the secret is keep everybody on one side. Not make it too big. Don't run it at conventions. You know, not until get more familiar with it, but it's been a long time since I played it, but I did like it, and it's not counterintuitive at all. There's nothing in those rules that's counterintuitive, ever, that I've encountered. But we hadn't even used the vehicles. I mean, they're not really necessary, but we hadn't used vehicles. I've read how they behave, and it certainly adds a level of craziness. Mr. Hamilton, Nordic, you're back using the freaking brown thing. They're the same color as Wayne. Been home all day with flu-like symptoms. You watched Das Boot last night. I've seen it twice. Still holds up. I remember the second time I watched it, I liked it better than the first. You're not bad. Still have a bit of a sinus headache. Had a phone interview that led to an in-person interview next week. You hate the flu. I'd rather have the flu-like symptoms as long as they don't come with a headache. That headache lasted 3 days I had, or the neck ache, or something pinched in my neck, or something like that. It's hard to think with one of those. Okay. The other colors. U.S. Field Drab. Which is the guy we just painted, so we can get to him last. I think it was this one. Nope, it was this one. All right. You guys enjoy a little World War II sidestep we did there? I still have the La Resistance right here. I'm not going to mess with them until... I'm not going to mess with any new ones until I realize if that's the correct direction I'm going to go in with a side project. Oh, yucky, yucky. Enjoyed that. We should bring back World War II quiz game, though. Joe isn't here, so I may have a shot. Oh, I threw away the score sheet. You guys can start over. I remember the book being better. There's a lot of like stuff that like nobody would get. You know, that's not the whole point, to make people realize, hey, look how much you don't know. I don't even know who's going to show up on Monday. Hopefully we don't have too many people, and then it won't be able to film. Oh well, it is what it is. I won't see better days. All right, let's go with this one. I know it the flu because I watched House MD reruns all day in order to rule out lupus and spinal meningitis. Lupus. Not sure I know what that is. Actually, I am sure I don't know what that is. Well, the weekend could not have gotten here any sooner. Had a very trying week. Only positive thing about it really was doing these painting sessions. You think Rick has lupus? Isn't lupus like has the root word of like a wolf? Isn't a wolf a lupus something? I don't know. Wade should be the expert on things that are in Latin. There's Rick. Yep. So explain to me, Rick, how it is that you're about to have a third vehicle for one person. And I'm not jealous because you're going to be paying 3 insurance bills. But I'd considered having one vehicle for fun and one for work, but I don't know if I'm ever going to have the desire to do such a thing. I'm really good about doing the responsible thing. Only thing I'm going to be irresponsible about is I don't want an automatic vehicle. I don't want a vehicle that's automatic. You're disease diagnosing. Everybody has a disease, just some of them have no cure. We can't correctly diagnose what you have, but we can prescribe things for you. Well, you know, I need a bad weather vehicle, a good weather vehicle, and an all-weather vehicle. Okay, well, I can see that you need a bad weather vehicle where you live, because you got that white stuff that's not cocaine. I tell you what, I'm really digging all-wheel drive, and I don't need it for any conditions because we don't have any crazy conditions. But it's kind of fun to take a 90-degree turn at 40 miles an hour and still do it safely. Because I'm not a risk taker, but you can have fun, and the all-wheel drive, that's pretty nice. The vehicle I was really looking to get was actually going to be a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and I don't know that I'm going to. And they didn't make it the year that, of course, the lease was up. So I really kind of actually wanted to hold on to my lease a little longer, but that doesn't make any sense. It was almost like, hey, your lease is up, and oh yeah, by the way, there's nothing new coming out, and that thing you were waiting has not been delayed, and it's a pain to have a payment, and it's something that you're not absolutely in love with. But I think I made the best decision possible. But I don't know that I wanted a rear wheel drive vehicle. I like sticking to the frickin' ground. You could definitely go for a lollipop right now. Lollipops turn you into a sucker. No, lollipops end up like rotting your teeth. I don't know, maybe some people don't care about that. That's like the first thing you notice on somebody is their teeth. Whether you realize it or not, or at least that's the first thing I notice. We need to go see Wayne's doctor. Together? I'm here for my physical examination. Okay, that's cool, but who's this Nordic guy? Oh, he's just my gamer friend. He's just for entertainment. We had we were like in the middle of this chat, and it's not going on anymore, and I don't get good reception here, so I just decided to bring my friend with me for conversation. I hate to go to the doctor. And it's not because I'm paranoid about something. They're just really inefficient with their time. Like, oh yeah, we'll see you at 10. Bullshit. You're lucky to get in there at 11. Don't like the doctor. I do like the dentist. Then if you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to have to wear a mask in there, even if there's something wrong with not wrong with you. So I'm not looking for excuses to do that. All right, let's just go ahead and just do all of these. That's the last one I did, so. Do I need a refill on cafe? I think I do. Stop rolling. See me rolling. Heard Wayne's doctor has the best lollipop around. Mama. I'll be right back. All right. You guys got me so excited talking about lollipops, I had to put some creamer in my coffee. No, I just want to wake up, but I don't like the taste of coffee much. But I usually just take it black, so. Let's see here. Do I prefer painting or basing? I hate basing. I hate anything that's mindless. That I think anybody can do. The stuff I like to do the most are the things that I feel like I do a lot better than most people. Like, pick a color palette. Figure out what figures I'm going to use to make the army to give them the right look. That's like my two favorite things to do. Research shield patterns. That kind of stuff. That stuff I enjoy doing. Clean the flash off figures. Get some slave to do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let the manufacturer do that. I hate cleaning flash and I hate priming. Everything else is okay. The problem with this that I'm doing, it takes a long time for something really simple. It's either that or you're going to get the paint all over the horse's legs, so it defeated all the carefulness you did. I make my own words up here. You guys know that. Your weight is up to 205. Lots of lasagna and long walks and a lazy boy recliner. Yeah, we all weigh more than we should. But dudes don't care. Just like you just rattled off how much you weighed. You know? Just so you know, 205 is gamer medium. Commission figures, I have them do it all. Okay. Rebasing some old Mage Knight figures. Thick Way may either be drunk, high, or delirious with fever, all the above. Not touching that one, huh? Hey, you've watched our videos. You say the things that are funny when the time is appropriate, even if it ends up being you, even if you end up roasting yourself. You know you're being impatient, but I still haven't gotten my lion rampant. I know. I don't blame you. I'm exactly the same way. When I order something, I'm immediately. If you get hired for that job interview, I'll paint an ancient's army. Or gamer light. Gamer light's a little too. Oh, gamer medium. No, I meant medium, like shirt size. You know. Like you go somewhere and like, oh, they got stuff on sale. Cool. Small. What kind of a dude wears small? A small dude? Yeah. And you got to try every clothes on. Things are just shifty. Things are made shifty now. Gamer light. Gamer featherweight. I went to Historicon. There's some people that they need to stop eating or they're going to die soon. I'll just leave it at that. And we all could do a better job of that. But I'm just talking about people that just, break into a sweat crossing the room. It shouldn't be difficult to walk. It shouldn't be. I mean, unless you've got a condition, I'm just saying And, and you're of a normal age. By army, I mean the Field of Glory army in 15 mil. I will go with Alexander's army. Ah, the hairdresser. I thought for sure you would have gone with Hannibal's army. Any of you guys watching that Little Wars Pyrrhic thing they got going on right now? When I found out they were going to do that, I was so excited. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, it's one of the things they've done that I've liked the least. I don't know what it is about it. It just seems like you're almost like seeing all the stuff you're not interested in seeing. And they don't explain what the rules are for, I don't know. It just, maybe you had higher hopes for it. You're watching that? Yeah. I was really excited when I heard about it. And then after I watched one episode, I'm like, I'm watching them all, but I'm like, I don't know. You think it's too cartoony? Yeah. I don't know if I feel... Maybe I'm just kind of spoiled by my own videos. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that my videos are even the level. Their videos are awesome. But I feel like if you watch our stuff, you get to find out who we really are. And I'm not so sure that's the case with their videos. I think that they're... you could meet them and they're different in person than they are in the video. I don't know if that makes any sense. I guess in that case, they're more like real Hollywood people. Well, you think you know people from their movies, and you meet them in real life, you're like, oh man. Just seems kind of hokey because I kind of go out of my way to seem real. It's just too difficult to pretend to be somebody you're not. But their stuff, a lot of their stuff is really, really well polished. I couldn't get Adrian Goldsworthy. You know, I wouldn't bother the man. Leave the man alone. You know, I like that part actually. What scale they're doing it in? It's smaller. It's 6. No, it's 6s. A lot of poor tacticians in that group. Yeah, I don't know what the rules are. You know, I figure I could take any of those guys out, but I'm really confident in my abilities. And I'm not scared at all. You watch Battle of Britain, 1969. Okay, I saw it recently. Has to be one of the most beautifully filmed war movies of all time. I thought it was really... I saw it for the first time 3 months ago. And I didn't avoid it. It wasn't on. And there was that one part, like 2/3 of the way through the movie, where it was almost like there was like music that was being played over the movie, and I thought it was really awkward. I didn't dislike it. It just... Did you notice how it didn't portray the Germans as very sinister? It was very interesting how it didn't do that. It was just, you know, it was almost like red team versus blue team. That was really the thing that was the most noticeable about it. You haven't been watching them, but I do love the idea of having a 3D map. That map is gorgeous. That map is absolutely gorgeous. And they keep poking things into it, and I'm like, man, I hope they're not poking into the foam. Well, I can assume you all that being a smartass of my caliber is far too difficult to fake. Yeah. I don't know about their tactician level because they're playing other games that I'm not familiar with. But if they were playing DBA or something like that, I'd be like, I wouldn't do that shit. The guy that I talked to, El Guapo, he seemed like a really nice guy. And it's funny because in the videos he's been in, he doesn't seem that way. But he seemed like a real nice guy in person when I talked to him. I forget what his real name is. But hey, they got a good thing going, and they hop around, and you know they do things a lot better than I ever will. They're hopping around in all kinds of rule systems, which appeal to a lot of folks. I can't do that. I'd go crazy, and I wouldn't get anything done. But I'm more of a painter than I am a gamer. So have you ever seen the movie Dunkirk? The voice of Michael Caine as Fortis leader is heard early in the Spitfire cockpits. I didn't catch that. What I didn't like about Dunkirk, there's lots of things I didn't like about Dunkirk. It wasn't horrible, but there were just lots of things that irked me. The thing that irked me the most was the Spitfire that shot that plane down while it was under power, not under power. Even my daughter was like, "That's ridiculous." And she's not exactly a genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. She's a kid, you know, but like, why did they bother doing that? Yeah, the scene where they're trying to take out the machine gun, and it doesn't sound like what it should sound like. It's like, I wonder why they did that. That was just weird. And I'm not a big fan of Branagh. Although I could argue that he didn't play a huge role in that. does he played Fortis Leader in the Battle of Britain too. At least I think it was Fortis Leader. No. I watched it in a movie theater and I didn't catch any of the chatter on the Spitfires. It was very hard to follow. And I watch everything with subtitles. That really kind of needed subtitles for that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it wasn't really important to the plot. Was it a Spitfire or was it a Hurricane? Or as they say, what do they call them in the UK? Hurricane. Or they call them something different. Then it's not a Hurricane. You're a fan of Kenneth Branagh in movies. He's a little too over the top for me. He kind of bugs me a little bit. A little bit. Michael Caine's first movie role was Zulu. I didn't know that. I like Caine. I'm pretty sure just about everybody likes Caine. It was a Spitfire? Okay. Did they use the right Spitfire? They only had Spitfire Mark 1s at that point. I still haven't seen 1917. I haven't avoided it, I just haven't seen it. I am watching that 1944 that Mitch recommended. I'm like a third of the way through it, and it seems to be pretty big, pretty good. I've got some problems with stuff, but I'm being overly anal retentive about things. But so far it's so good. I wasn't expecting it to be dubbed. I don't really like that part of it. I'd rather just have the subtitles. He's a Shakespearean actor. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. Speak English, damn it. Spitfires versus Henkels and Stukas. Fun to watch. Actually, I think they did. It even had the black and white undercarriage paint scheme. Black and white undercarriage. I don't know what you're talking about. The underside of the Spitfire at that point should be that duck egg blue. Which is kind of like a warm sky color. I don't think I have one of those. It's a very distinct type of color. It's a soothing color. I think. I don't know. I have to go look. It might have been a really, really white, but I forget. I haven't painted one of those in a long time. Of all the three branches, land, sea, and air, the one I'm the least interested in is air. And I did build models, but you know, most people would say they're not interested in sea, but I was a big naval war gamer. I still would say I'm a big naval war gamer. It's still kind of stuck into me. But if I had to pick one of them, it's definitely the one that's I'm the least interested in. Duck egg blue, yep. Wings of the Spitfire from 1940 Battle of France had one wing painted white, the other painted black. They switched to the egg blue right after. I did not know that. You really? The underside? Huh. I'll take your word for it. That's interesting. I love the Normandy stripes. I really do. I think the Normandy stripes makes all the, and it makes all those planes look better. I really like those late war Spitfires with the Normandy stripes. That's a beautiful setup right there with the 4 propellers. Those look really nice. And I got a soft spot as far as Allied aircraft. I got a soft spot for P-40s. I do. Maybe it's the Tiger Mouth. Maybe it's the first model that I did. I know they sucked a lot of times, but you know, I got a soft spot for them. This is the first model I ever built of a plane. I built it so long ago, I could never make out why did they have that weird star on the wings. Why doesn't it have a standard American star on it? Grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. Go Navy or go home. I don't like the Navy. I don't like any of the Navy fighters. I don't like how they look. Forget performance. They were awesome planes, okay? I just don't like how they look, you know. I think that the Dauntlesses look good. That paint scheme that's like kind of like a two-tone blue. But once they went to that overall dark navy blue, that was even glossy, not a fan. Hellcats, I think Hellcats are ugly. I think Hellcats are one of the ugliest, probably the ugliest fighter aircraft in World War II from the Americans. We'll leave it at that because there's some horrible looking planes, but again, the looks don't matter. They were freaking awesome beasts, you know. But I don't care for them. In other words, if I'm going to build a model of them, I'm not going to build those, you know. A friend who grew up in Newport News. Of course it's spelled that way. How else would you spell Newport News? My favorite aircraft of World War II is the Spitfire. I think it's the best fighter of World War II and definitely a sexy aircraft. It is a sexy aircraft. Born Newport News. Worked at Tenneco Newport News private shipbuilders. Yeah. Your favorite World War II aircraft? Well, I don't know if I could narrow it down to one. There's so many that are cool. I have a soft spot for Stukas. I do. They were just wicked looking. They're not sexy. They're just wicked looking. Again, that's why I built a model of them. They were really freaking cool looking. The Focke-Wulf D9s. That's a wicked looking plane too. The long nose ones. I know they didn't make very many of them. They didn't come out until the Rhine was crossed, basically. Maybe a little earlier than that. Tony, this may shock you, but I would like to build a Russian Sturmovik, the flying tank. Yeah, I don't know how you sleep at night saying something like that. You'd love to build a Stuka, but can't find a good kit in 48 scale. I am not a 48 scale airplane fan. I always built them in 1/72. You have a World War II joke. Oh, I hope it's as good as Kevin's. A veteran RAF pilot went to school to give a lecture on the war. He was telling a story about an aerial battle he had. All right, just end it there. That'll be like a Kevin joke. Nah, he was having disconnect issues. He was using that Mexican internet they have out there in Arizona, Stan. He said to the kids, I was flying a Spitfire and I got on the tail of this Fokker. The teacher chimed in and said the Fokker was an aircraft. The pilot turned to the teacher and said, yes, ma'am, but this Fokker was flying an ME-109. There you go. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Almost all World War I aircraft are ugly. I like the Albatrosses. That may be it. All World War I aircraft, I think, are really ugly. And how sad is it that for as industrialized as the U.S. was, they didn't have their own aircraft in World War I. They didn't even have their own helmets. They used somebody else's helmets, or, to design. How a long way we've come. Okay, Coke time. Ever play Wings of War? Yes, I have the whole first set. It's okay. It's actually a great looking game for what it is. I even have the mouse mat boards. Biowings are very bygone. Yep. You want to know how they knew the lost battalion was lost? Because they are gone. Oh. Is that movie, by the way, with, I asked the other day, was that one with Ricky Schroeder in it? I didn't like that one. U.S. shouldn't have been in that war. War shouldn't have happened. Then the U.S. shouldn't have been in that war. Good morning. You're the leading ace of the old game store in Wings of War. Man, that's how many shitty players they had, huh? I don't like the triplanes. The triplanes, I think, are ugly. I like the albatrosses, how they look, especially the 5s. Fokker D7s are great aircraft, but I think they're ugly. Yes, it has Ricky Schroeder in it. I liked it enough to pay 50 cents for it. I think I've seen it. I just don't remember anything about it. There aren't that many things that do World War I stuff in them. You got, what, the Young Indiana Jones has some World War I stuff in it. That movie with Brad Pitt that I absolutely hated, Legends of the Fall. I guess if I watched it again, maybe I'd have a different opinion of it. I didn't like it. It's few and far between. Flew the Albatross, shot down 3 top Allied aces at the store, all the same area of battle, one night after the other. Yeah. I actually had a group of people that were playing it online. This guy had too much free fucking time on his hands. He literally would send turns out, everybody would turn their moves in, and he had like this big scanner. He would scan the cards. It was crazy. And we were doing missions and a campaign, and it was cool, except if you got stuck on one side with people that wanted to do unreasonable things, die in the blaze of glory, you know. So if you're not playing realistically, like, you know, you need to live to fight another day when you're not going to do any good, then the campaigns really don't work, you know. You know, if you're playing with suicidal people, we did that for a few months. What was the name of the World War I aerial combat game that used the soft color handbooks to resolve combat? Ace of Aces. That was unique. That was a unique game. Yeah, a friend of mine had that. Ace of Aces. Those used to be worth a pretty penny if you had a set of them. Yep. Had that one. I had a game by Avalon Hill called Knights of the Sky or Knights of the Air, one of the other two. That one was okay. It had some performance stuff you could do with the aircraft. It wasn't too complicated. It was Avalon Hill, so it made at the end of the day, it made sense. It was written in a language you could understand. Never played Richthofen's War or what's the other one that everybody plays? I didn't play any other ones. They weren't around. All right, I should have fled the aerial battle, but the 3 idiots turned away from me and I jumped them from behind and down they went. Dawn Patrol, was that one of them? Never played Dawn Patrol. The Red Baron movie that came out a few years ago, the special effects in that are amazing. Just absolutely amazing. They've got a World War One plane game for the Oculus, and it's pretty good. Except that people go in there and use. You can have flares, and they shoot flares at each other. It's just stupid shit like that. Like, why would you do that? You know, gamey crap. You know. Ace of Aces. Oh. Kicking it like it's 1988 or 89. They had some other stuff too. Didn't they have like gunfighter stuff or things like that? Didn't they have like, you know, Western gunfight things? Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I want to say they had other, but I mean, they weren't as nice as those books. Those were really nice books, actually. Ace of Aces. That's one of those games that was going for a shitload of money. I mean, I'm talking like 10 years or 15 years ago, the last time I looked at it. The other game that was going for a shitload of money was Upfront. You know, the one with the freaking the Nazi on the cover. That's a game I really wanted to like, and I don't know that I could wrap my head around it. Actually, the only thing I didn't like about Upfront, I played it 6 or 7 times. I don't know that I ever won it once. Was I like the relative distance between the stuff. That doesn't bother me. It's the when you shoot at a squad and how they take damage, the farther you are to one side, the more insulated you are. And it just seemed kind of hokey, that part. Maybe I only paid it 5 times, maybe 4 or 5 times. Anyways, I really wanted to like it, but didn't like that aspect. I really want to like the game everybody raves about. Not everybody. People are kind of split on it, but it's like 75-25. It's a GMT game, but it has no dice. You pull cards for effect, so that loses me right there. People don't like it because of the randomizing things that happen, and we like that shit. I mean, we like, you know, you get an air attack dropped on you, and there's no aircraft in the game to begin with. The random event stuff. I like that stuff. Combat Commander? I think it's Combat Commander. I can't stand pulling cards for dice effects. It drives me bananas. And even worse than that, it's you pull a card, and the card also does this other thing, but you don't use it for that. You use it for the other thing, but you did get to see the effect, the top part of the card that you're not going to get to use it as. It's just, no, I don't like that. Maybe if somebody was running the game and they would pull it and tell you what happened, that'd be okay. Combat Commander. Played 2 games. That guy ran it, and Mitch and I played it, and neither one of us really liked it. I forget why he didn't like it. I like rolling dice, and I'm fine rolling 1 die. I'm also fine rolling a bucket of dice. I like rolling dice. It's fun, especially in a box. I forgot how much fun it is to roll dice in a box. You kick them up off the side of the box. It's like you're playing craps. I would imagine. I don't know. I'm not a gambler, so. Combat Commander, yeah. I think a lot of those board games could be turned into like video games, and they'd be a lot better. I like it was buggy as hell last time I played it. I really like how they handled The game that seems like a ripoff of ASL. And it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. The mechanics really aren't, but physically it looks like it is. Lock and load. Lock and load on the computer looks really good. It looks just like a board game. It's fine. It's a good looking board game. What are you going to paint next on the Huns? Cards, you just can't get a good shuffle on cards. I'm probably going to do the fast bow. I'm probably going to do the 2 stands fast bow, just to mix it up a little bit. I still have to do 3 more stands of light horse minimum. I'm not ready to jump back into them. And to give myself a little bit of a break, I think I'll build the 2. Build 6 infantry stands. I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do. All right, dark sand time, folks. I don't mind card activation or chit draw activation, but I need to roll dice to determine effects and such. Nordic, I agree with you 1,000%. I don't mind those other 2 things as well. I think they work really well. I want to roll dice for effects, absolutely. How many figures on a stand of fast bow? 3. So it's 6 bow actual figures. I'm with you 1,000% on that game mechanics. I actually like cards for random events and Command and Colors Napoleonics that we played a couple of weeks ago. I like that system. You know, it's kind of like the pip, like how we roll for pips here in DBA, except it's even more so that you really can't do whatever you want, and it just allows you to focus on what you can and not what you can't. I like it. But I'm not pulling dice when I'm, shooting muskets at people. So, I got no problem with cards and stuff. A series of games I really wanted to like, and I don't think I like them, are those, there's a name for them. And they're the asymmetrical warfare type games, but they're kind of like Fire in the Lake, and they're GMT games, but they have multiple faction type things with little blocks, and they're card driven, but when you go to combat and stuff, you still roll dice. God, I want to like them, and I don't know, maybe they're just not very user friendly, very newbie friendly. Maybe that's what it was. Andean Abyss. And they actually look good. They're good looking games. Cuba Libre is another one. Since you play my counter and hex games, I implement a chit draw so I get unpredictable games. Well, that's why I like the Face of Battle for the skirmish, because it is a chit draw, basically. Or token draw. I make tokens with the characters' names on them, and you just pull those. And it moves slow, but it creates a really good narrative. I saw a video of a guy that did some terrain recently, and makes you want to paint a little house or a shack or something to try some of that stuff out. I got a little house that I use for my Normandy fighting that's done, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I mean, I did do it 20 years ago, but still, it's 20 years ago. How I was painting 20 years ago, I'm still happy with. You start getting in like 25 and 30, then it gets, you know, sideways. Well, I don't have very many of those things anymore. I got rid of them. I didn't enjoy looking at them, so pretty much sold all that stuff off. So yeah, chip draw system, that's basically how, actually I was reading about it, there's actually a lot of different ways you can play it. You could like set up your teams and like fire teams and then pull a card for each fire team. I just like doing, since I'm playing with, you're only running like a couple squads on the side at the most. I like individual pulls. There's a problem with running a lot of things at once. Is if you do something that activates like 3 or 4 guys, then you're going to do 3 or 4 shootings, and it's just easier. Everything like being focused on one guy, and then okay, go to the next guy. You could be really quick, you know. Not like if you got multiple guys acting in unison, you're like, okay, well I'm going to do this with this guy, and hold on, let me do this, and and you start overthinking it too much. It starts becoming more like a sword in the flame, right? That has random activation. But then, you know, your whole group of 20 guys goes. That's kind of extreme, but it's more of a beer and pretzels type game anyways, so that could be, you know, forgiven a little bit. Beer and pretzels, more like a whiskey and biscuits. Tea and biscuits. Tea and crumpets. Although I think one thing, if I run it again, I'm going to dispense with poses. Because bogging down, it gets kind of bogged down if you're worried about whether the guy's prone or standing or whatever. I actually didn't realize that. I just basically, when I started playing the game, I'm like, okay, we want maximum detail. U.S. biscuits or everyone else's biscuits? Well, it would be everybody else's biscuits, right? Because it's sword in the flame, so it's, you know. From the world of Harumph. The world according to Harumph. So it's got to be everybody else's biscuits. I actually like tea. I just don't like hot tea. I don't drink anything hot. But the taste of like English tea, yeah, I like that. That's good stuff. It tastes a lot better than coffee. It just doesn't have any, you know, motivational vitamins in it. Also known as caffeine. It's rather weak on that. certainly tastes better than coffee. But there's some things you take, and it's not because of the taste. Take suppositories, for instance. Are those still a thing? What's the tagline for that? If they did commercials for those things. Melt in your ass, not in your hand. No, I like black breakfast tea and Earl Grey, and that stuff tastes good. Sword to Flame, I had hundreds of painted 15mm Zulus. That's funny, I've never seen anybody play it in 15s. They put games at our convention in 28s of it on. I'll try to get some on their video. I'm going to shoot a video of our convention in a month. You know, since basically the point of going to Historicon to push something there is just basically just a lost cause as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm not saying I'm not going to go. I'm just not going to go with the intentions of putting anything on. So we got a lot of, you know, our conventions are smaller, obviously, but people put some good group of games on here, so. They do Sword in the Flame in 28s. Painting tomorrow morning. I am. I don't know for how long, though. I think I kind of have to take... might have to stop earlier than I'd like. Running games at cons is a thankless job, and honestly, unless I'm trying to sell my own rules, I would have never put on a game at cons. And our convention in Florida, they give you no breaks for doing it. So at least at Historicon, if you run a couple games, you get in free. So, you know, it'll save you $50 over the weekend. I mean, it's worth doing it. But you get no breaks at our con at all. Which is kind of weird, but it's not like there's so many games being put on that, you know, you're losing all that revenue. But for whatever reason, they've never been apt to give anybody a break on that. It is a thankless job. Especially because you don't know who's going to stuck in your game. I don't want to run... If I do World War II skirmish, I want to pick who plays in it. I'm sorry. You discriminate. Yep. All the freaking time. There's some people I don't want touching my figures. You know? They can't even brush their tooth. It is a nice incentive to run games, yeah. You get in for free. And you don't have to run them all convention long like we do. Or we did. You could just put on one game and get in for free. If you're doing it for minimalist reasons. Honey-do time. Uh-oh. Well, if you would have just done it, you wouldn't have to leave now. I know, sometimes it doesn't work that way. Some host games to get discount coupons for dealer purchases and meal tickets in the dining hall. You know, not at our shows. You get nothing. Which, you know, I'm not really asking for a discount. It's just kind of odd that you go from one extreme to the other. Like, even if all you did was put on games, you wouldn't get in for free. If you put on a game every session, nope. So I don't want some random person. I got to be stuck with them for 4 hours. And maybe they're mishandling my figures for 4 hours. Nah, what did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve that? All right, so we're done with the dry brushing portion. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and paint the edges. And while that's drying, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some of this kind of watered down, getting it underneath the, because you can't get everywhere. And if you don't do that, then it helps the figures kind of blend into the base a little better. So let's get the black out. Yeah, you get HMGS East used to incentivize game hosting. Well, they do. They still do. Like I said, all you got to do is like put on one game and you get in free, and it's a big savings. Yeah, they do it at East, not at South. But I don't think I'm going to ever host a game at East again. It just, that's not our court. You want to come play DBA? Come to Florida. Or somebody from up there can run it up there. Yeah, it's just really discouraging that, you know, you drive 15 hours and the people can't be bothered to drive 1 hour to it. Like, well, if you're not willing to drive 1 hour when I'm driving 15, then I just go there and do other stuff. That I don't have to lug all this shit. I don't know if there's a wargaming mecca. We're spread all over this big penis-shaped state all over the place, so I know the mecca for DBA is definitely Gainesville. But you know, we're all over the state. Everybody plays different rules, different scales. You know, there's people in Florida that just are into a lot of different stuff. Some guys don't like tournaments. Some do. There's, I understand, a good group of guys down in Miami as well, which is, you know, very far from here. There's a group of guys in Jacksonville, but they're into a bunch of different things. I just have a limited amount of time to paint, so I can't paint everything. Even if I was interested in it. I mean, look how long it's taken me to paint the freaking stands on these guys. You know? There he is. Well, you missed me going to the bathroom 7 times. I got it on video, though, so I can send you that video later. Well, you know, since I've been on, what have I had to drink? I've had 2 coffees and I'm almost done with a Coke. I'm always drinking stuff. And the fact that I'm talking a lot, now that just only makes it even more likely to happen. Marco. It's not Marco Hello, it's Marco Polo. Think about it. Baron von Richthofen. Von Richthofen. I'd be upset if my last name was yours, Rick. I'd want the umlaut back over the O. Give me back my umlaut, you bastards. I'm ready to do a big helping and nothing this weekend. I'm going to have to mow, but other than that. Okay, that one. Rick, I think you should do some more cooking videos. It's been a while since you put a cooking video out. It's refreshing to see somebody who has worse cooking skills than me. What should you make? Like a freaking cake or something. Not something super easy. Something that doesn't have directions on the box. Like, that should be what it is. You don't need something really complicated, but something that doesn't have directions on a box. So, you know, brownies are out. You know, something like with a cake. Something you can screw up gloriously. But not something that's going to take you, you know, hours to prepare. I don't know if that makes any sense. So, you know, something as easy as like making cookies or whatever, but not something where you could just read the instructions and put it in an easy bake oven kind of thing. Carrot cake. Something without directions directly on the box. In other words, something that we have to, you know, you have to use milk and oil. You have to put you have to get other ingredients and assemble them through a third party instructions and do it that way. Need instructions to boil water. I don't know if that go well. I don't know. Maybe your sister can help you. She can make fun of you the whole time. I'm not making fun of you not being able to cook. I think it's refreshing that somebody else can't cook. I just don't think it's worth my time. And I lived alone 11 years, and I can make rice, eggs, what else? Assemble sandwiches, salads. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to do anything else. You know, I got to be back at the workshop painting. I ain't got time for that crap. She got all the cooking genes. Well, what are you really good at that she's not good at? Because you could do like a double episode. You could you have the first part of the episode where you cook, and then the second part of the episode where you make fun of her for, being bad at directions or some shit like that. I don't know. That's the genes I got. I got them conquistador direction genes. Not only I don't get lost, we find shit that we didn't know was out there. Yeah, Nordic realized that W was my domain copyrighted symbol. Not everybody's good at everything. I'm the map guy. You get a lot more viewers if you have girls on your shows too. That's a scientific fact. And it doesn't really even matter what they look like. Because there's some viewers that have a ton of viewers and I'm like, you turned in for her? I'm not saying I'm not saying your sister's an example of that. I'm just saying there's a lot of channels with a ton of viewers just because it's a gamer girl and I'm like, you're obviously not from Florida. You would use my photograph, but it's not Halloween yet. What's the name of those two girls that do the show up in... I think they're from Nova Scotia or something like that. Actually, I don't know that they're doing any more shows because of the pandemic. I think they kind of freaked out. Sword and Steel or something like that. And the one girl's kind of nerdy, and the other girl is just like, man, she's on the freaking the happy suppositories. I don't know what kind of drug she's on, but they have a ton of viewers. Oh well, good for them. Sword and Steel, something like that. Nammy's a maid one. She's cute. Yeah, they don't do anything for me, but that's okay. I'm not there for that. They have quite a... Their programming is actually pretty... I actually like their unboxings. I like watching unboxings. They're cool. Game system you were talking about earlier. Cuba Libre are all coin. That's what it is. Counterinsurgency. There it is. Basing looks great. Hey, something I'm good at. Thank you, Mike. You saw Game Girl once. Think she was a competitive... I saw Gamer Girl once. I think she was a competitive eater. It's difficult, you know. A lot of people don't know how to behave around people they're of the opposite sex, or the same one if you're into that. You know, don't be an idiot. A lot of people can't handle that. And the fact that some people like idiots doesn't exactly send the wrong message to those folks to change their tactics. Okay, I think we're done with this. We need to grab Mr. Pale Sand now. Oh, it's almost time to get out of the dark ages here. Is there somebody called Gamer Girl? Is that what we're getting at? My daughter won't go to a game store. She's scared of those gamers. I don't blame her. Some of them have the social skills of an armadillo. Ice yellow, that's not it. It's pale sand is the color we're looking for. And it looks similar to that. Man, this chair is a creaky. Let's see where it is. I hope it's not this one all the way in the bottom, because this one's a pain to get to. Let's work our way down there and see if that's it. Dun, dun. "5'1" and 325. She threw her weight around a lot. Sounds like someone else I know, to be honest. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say is sometimes it's not what people look like, it's what they act like that's a bigger problem. Because if you act like somebody you don't want to be around, it doesn't really matter what they look like. "5 foot tall with a 6 foot mouth." Fun on a Friday night. Never know what we're going to get into here. A lot of war. What exactly is War Machine? What is War Machine? Is it a take on something that's Games Workshop like, but not Games Workshop, obviously? I know it's a skirmish type game, and I think it might be even like a warband type skirmish type game. But is it like Space Hulk or something like that, taken to another level, or? Respect women so much, I'm scared of them. From the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin. He painted war game miniatures. Yeah, but they were like dolly sized, and they were what? American Civil War stuff, so. Dolly size, I think that's what it was. They were American Civil War shit. I wonder who it was that was on the miniatures page. Said I looked for that the other day. I'm looking for anything larger than 20 millimeters playing with dollies. And people came unglued. I'm not a fan of people that troll, but there's a couple of trolls I've come across that are really funny. That's one of them. The other one was, this was on the miniatures page many years ago, and the post went something along the lines of, "Hey guys, I'm wondering, I want to paint my Japanese in I want to paint my World War II Japanese in a character style similar to The Simpsons. What yellow should I use for their skin?" And people just came unglued. When all they would have had to do is say something like this. They just came unglued. And I'm just making popcorn. And that wasn't even on one of the controversial bulletin boards there. War Machine is a science fiction game that uses robots called war machines. They have factions that fight each other. Hordes is the fantasy version. Okay. What's the name of the company that makes those? I mean, I can almost picture the Hordes logo, what it looks like. I guess we'll paint the rocks before we do the watery thing that we said we were going to do. Metal steampunkish game. Privateer Press. Okay. Yeah, Privateer Press sounds like a role-playing game company. Maybe they did it one time. It's amazing how there's some things you never think about. But having worked in a game store many moons ago, you still remember things like White Wolf, right? That's the guys that made all those vampire games, those vampire role-playing games. GURPS and GURPS, burps, and slurps. I don't mind role-playing games. I just don't think you should play role-playing games like actors do method acting. I don't think you should method act the role-playing game. Actually considering getting into War Machine. I've played a few games in the past and they're quite fun. Well, one game I'm never getting into again is BattleTech, because I like the original game and the game on the computer is awesome, and zero reason to ever play the actual miniatures game because they did an excellent job with the computer game, and I played it quite a bit and it's very good. It's very, very good. That doesn't mean I don't like BattleTech. It means if I ever want to play BattleTech, you just fire up the computer. Because it does an excellent job with it. And I've actually played that game quite a lot. Not in maybe a year, but a lot. It's a great game. Did a great job with it. Harebrained Games or something like that. Comes Harebrained Scheme, something. You know, I think there's a difference between a computer game that is constantly running and a computer game that's basically taking the place of a board game. The one that takes the place of a board game, what it allows you to do is you can't play the game. You don't have to learn the rules, right? You don't have to read them, and don't have to play the game wrong. It's like, I'll try to move this. You can't move too far. I won't let you. I mean, unless there's obviously the game bugged or something. But I am a big fan of computer games that have taken a board game or something board gamey and turned it into that. Because then you get the best of both worlds. You admire that you're all willing to learn new games. You're unlearning the games I learned. I'm with you, Wayne. It's really unsatisfying. And it's even more relevant that I do videos. It's really unsatisfying to play shit wrong. But it just gets to the point where things are just too... You just get confused. Not get confused, like you don't know what you're doing, but just... So I'd never play DBMM. I'd probably love it. I just get so much shit wrong. Every game would be an asterisk. Yeah, you won, but you played it wrong. Or, oh, you lost, but the other guy didn't know what he was doing. Or, you know, he moved this. There's just too many pitfalls. And I've kind of noticed that in the last 4 to 5 years. I don't want to learn new shit. If I'm going to play it wrong, why even bother? Now, don't get me wrong, I'll play new stuff, but I'm not going to figure out how to play it. You got to GM it, and then I'll ask you directly a question. Not look for it in the rule book. Hunt for it in the rule book. I think it happens with age. You've done that before. It's just not worth it anymore. You know? It's just not worth it. Been there, done that, had that done to me. Didn't like it. And I don't want to learn how to play something that's abstract anymore. I'm not paying attention. This is not the color I want. I mean, that is the color I want for something else, but we'll have to thin that down and go around the bottom. And I've just started noticing that in the last 4 years. And with Gaslands, I'm not going to learn how to play Gaslands. I'm not going to be the point guy in playing that. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to play something new that's tournament based that I got to be the point guy on. There's just too many. And a lot of games just haven't been play tested enough, so they got loopholes and. I'm more interested in painting new figures. What do we got here? Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. Okay. I just wanted to see if I'd gotten a response. I'd put a question out to the owner of Gladiator Games if he had any pictures of his colonial Russians, and he said he was going to put them together for some kind of, put them together for a photo op. So I'm kind of looking to see if he's going to show them. So I did the respectable thing. I went ahead and sent him some pictures that I have of Gladiator stuff that you can post on his site to sell his figures. I like Gladiator Games stuff. I do. I just have trouble finding, when you're sending somebody pictures of their miniatures lines, they don't want to see other people's miniatures in the same picture. It's kind of hard to promote Gladiator Games miniatures when they're next to another manufacturer. I'm not saying that the Gladiator ones aren't as good. I'm just saying that, it kind of muddies the water. And so I sent him all the pictures that I had of the Gladiator stuff I have painted. Just about everybody makes figures that are usable, that I like. So you're holding back, picking up new board games until I get a few more recent acquisitions played. Lion Rampant is an exception. It's been tough because there have been some amazing recent releases. Getting over the flu, half a carrot cake is in the kitchen. I've stopped buying board games, not that I bought that many, from being able to watch other people's unboxings. Sometimes the biggest thrill is just seeing what's in the box and how it's packaged and all that stuff. And you can get that out of your system by watching somebody else open the box. So all right, now let's get some of this watered down sand. A lot of games just really abstract. I just can't get into them. I'm not an abstract thinker. Things that don't make sense to me. One game is a lot of fun, Rick, that's kind of a conquest game, but it's a game that you'd probably get people into it that aren't really into, you know, war games per se, is a game called Wallenstein. And it's set in the 30 Years' War, and it doesn't really matter where it was set in, but it's almost kind of like a Risk type of game, basically taking over zones. Scoring wise, it's kind of that way. But what's kind of interesting about it is that you have 12 actions each turn, and the actions can be something along the lines of like collect taxes, raise armies, move armies, attack, get food, tax people, do nothing, those kind of things. So you have a finite amount of these cards that you put down in front of you, and there's, I think there actually might be 10. There's 10 phases of the turn. So it's randomly, each one of those things happens at one time. Like you collect taxes, if you do different type of things throughout the turn, and you can play one of those cards that you have in each one of your territories. Like you can't have, if I remember correctly, you can't like collect taxes in all of them. Some of them you have to collect food at or whatever. So, but here's the interesting thing about it is there's 10 phases, or maybe there's 8, and you know what the first half are, and you don't know what the second half are. So they're all face down. So you kind of have to plan that accordingly. But the real meat and potatoes of the whole game, along with it basically being like a Risk type game where you're trying to take territories with multiple people all trying to do the same thing, is that there is a little tower. And the little tower is, the combat mechanisms are really simple. If you have, and they're little cubes, they're just colored cubes of, you know, red or blue or yellow or green or brown or black. I think that's the colors that they have. And if you're the black, if you've got the black cubes and you have 3 of them and you attack a zone that has 1 red one, what you do is you take all 4 cubes and you drop them in this tower. And this tower has these little dividers in there, almost kind of like a die rolling tower, except it's made so that some of the cubes stay in the tower. And you look at the kick plate and you see who comes out of the bottom of the kick plate. And those guys pair off against each other. So if at the bottom of the kick plate you end up having 2 black ones and a red one, then the red one and the black one eliminate each other. You pull them out completely, and you're left with 1 black one controlling that zone. But you can have those other colored cubes could come out later at different times in other battles, so that you could. I think what it does is it represents these mercenary forces that go away and they plunder off the land, and then they come back and kind of help you in a battle and kind of thing. So it's a really interesting mechanism trying to figure out what turn things are going to happen in, because obviously you want to collect money before you go and attack, or, you know, that kind of thing, and trying to gauge that along with the fact of you're going into this combat that maybe all your guys don't come out, they get stuck in the towers. It's really an interesting mechanisms. Love the Lords of Waterdeep. Heard some good things about Wallenstein. It's a simple game, but it's not. Domesticate some owl bears. I came close to getting one of those role-playing video games. I forget which one it is. But I think it was going to have too many. I don't like those worlds where you can play humans and you can play elves and you can play dwarves and you can play people that are half ogres and people that are half dragons and people that are, you know, like half a tree and the other half a skunk. And it's like, why don't you just play freaking humans, man? Like, it's humans fighting other creatures. Like, you know, I don't care what color human you are. We're all humans, you know. No reason, like, you know, I'm half centaur and half unicorn or some, you know, horse shit. It's like, do you dislike being a human that much, you know? Dragonkind or something like that. You're walking around playing some character. It looks like a red slee stack, you know. Didn't think we were going to mention those today, did you? I remember that show when I was a kid. It was stupid even when I was a kid. But hey, it was the only way to see dinosaurs in the 70s. Any of those role-playing-ish type games on the computer any good? Which ones? Don't tell me the one he's playing right now, because I ain't playing that one. I've tried it. Actually, I've never played Skyrim, to be honest with you. I just played the Elder Scrolls one. I didn't like it. It's too much. Go talk to this guy. Go talk to that guy. I didn't care about the built-in narrative. I wanted to go on a treasure hunt. I hated the first one. Maybe that's what it was. I just hated how it looked. You know, you walked into a town, every building looked the same. And you walked up to these people and they're like wooden thing. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I can't play video games like I used to. The novelty, you know, I've had some really good experiences playing some, but at the end of the day, I'll eventually get bored of them. I remember when I bought the first Half-Life. It was a Sunday night, like at 8 o'clock. And I was single at the time. Must have been about sometime in 99. Must have been. And I fired that thing up, and I didn't sleep that night. I went right to work. It was a Sunday night. That was an awesome game. I liked that storyline at the time. That was a cool game. I don't know if I'll play another shooter. I don't know if I'll play another first-person shooter. It's not that I don't have the reactions time for it. It's just like, been there, done that. If any of you guys are big fans of shooter games, though, you should watch that Hardcore Henry movie. I thought it was hilarious. I laughed. I laughed so much, and then I watched it with Mitch, and we laughed together. That was funny as shit. So many things in that movie. I don't get into video games anymore. I wouldn't mind some grand strategy games. Yeah, I don't find grand strategy games very interesting. They're a bit too much Third Reich for me. You know, like Rise and Decline of Third Reich, Avalon Hill type thing. It just doesn't really do it for me. I can get into grand tactical stuff, but like literally like strategic decisions, nah. Stuff like Crusader Kings are not interested. But then I'm a tactician, not a strategist. If I had a roommate or a spouse, I'd play board games more than I do Skyrim. Yeah, I get it. You play any of those scary games? I was watching a demo one time of this game that I wanted to try on the console called, what was it called? Anyways, it wasn't even in first person view, it was isometric. So you're like outside your character. I couldn't even watch the demo. It totally creeped me out. Had demons and all, it was just too much. And it had jump scares and shit like that. I don't need that in my life. What was it called? Could have been playing games daily. Yeah, or you could have gotten into a fist fight because he left his shoes where he didn't want to for the 100th time. How about Napoleon, the block game? I like block games, although I've never played any. I like the concept of it. I also want to try one of those pub battles games. You know what I'm talking about? They look like they're real simple, but they're playing on like a canvas map. Those look really cool. Man, those are real expensive. I forget which scary video game was it, but it had almost like a scene that looked like something out of The Enemy Within, something like that. It had a cover that looked like something off the movie Saw, like the cover of like Saw 8 or something like that. That was a scary freaking game. I couldn't watch the demo and not be creeped out. Enemy Within, I think that's what it's called, something like that. You have one pub game. What do you think? I would have gotten the Moringa one. See, I'd play Napoleonic game there, Wayne. No, I think block games kind of like that. What's the Hammer of the Scots? That's actually a really good looking game. And rated pretty highly, honestly. Okay, I think that one's, we got all the spots on him. We're good there. I think we're okay here. Did you like that pub battle? Brandywine, okay. I'd love to play a skirmish level game that deals with Florentine style sword fighting like the Three Musketeers. Haha, add in wheel lock weapons and such, could be really detailed. On guard, haha. You could play the entire time with a ridiculous French accent. What's not to like? Okay. I gotta take a pee break, and then I'll be right back. I gotta find what tufts I used. I know I used 4 tufts for these, so we can tough these guys up. You like pub battles? They look good. They look good, certainly. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see what we got here. Pub battles is good. Enact. The AWI troops I am painting are for that battle. Continentals. Working on 101 of them. 101 Continentals. You're in high school in the early 80s. For a few months we played Napoleon. Every lunch hour in the high school library. Every day we all went home thinking of how to win. No way I'm going generic for now. You're practicing law in the early 80s. Used to go home thinking of how to win as well. You're practicing how to be both born premature and spend a few months in an incubator in the early 80s. The early 80s, I was trying to how to survive middle school. God, I hated middle school. And we just got into this town. I was at Oriskany battlefield not too long ago. Actually, until I played the battle, I thought it was Oriskany. How did I know? Yankee name. It is north of me. We also have Herr General von Steuben's tomb up there. You want Borodino. What's everybody's favorite battle? If you could like snap your fingers and have all the troops for a certain battle, what battle would it be? And the terrain for it. By the way, I saw you make an attempt at Susquehanna in the Historicon video. Yeah, I don't know those. I don't know those Indian names. Actually, I don't know the Indian names that are... I can do the ones in Mexico, okay. I wanted Mitch to say it because he ain't got a clue. He ain't got a clue. Wagram. 2 for Agincourt. Seems really one-sided. Wagram. I don't know anything about him. It's got Austrians in it. I want to be the Austrians. But they're not as good, exactly. They're wearing white. I love the Austrians with that German helmet. They look cool. You don't have those silly shakos like everybody else. Sie waren the helmet. Waterloo, huh? You live along the Susquehanna River. Gettysburg. By the way, speaking of Gettysburg, how's that movie that I've seen Hey, that movie that I saw, how is it? No. I saw it advertised called The Field of Lost Shoes or something like that. Is that worth watching? I've watched 2 Civil War movies. For England and St. George. That's where the island French defeated the mainland French. 2-day battle just outside of Vienna. At Historicon in 2018, Because it was in Fredericksburg. Because at the other place, you can't find any of the rooms. It's like a rat hole. Not the new location, the host. No, you can't pick more than one battle, so no Stalingrad for you. They did a winter battle, and I want to say it was in 1809, that involved a river, and they had all the terrain and everything. I want to say it's that Aspern Essling or something like that. It was, I recognize the name of the battle, but the terrain was insane. The terrain was insane. It was really well done, and it was Austrians and French. Yeah. I knew somebody. I knew you were going to pick Stalingrad, and then you picked Gettysburg, and I'm like, te jodiste. You screwed yourself. No more. It's the only one you get. Gettysburg. If I pick one, Aspern Essling wasn't winner as far as I recall. Okay. I don't know which one it was. Yeah. Battle Lost Shoes, 64 outside of Winchester, Virginia. Is a battle used of VMI cadets and Confederate side. Is it a good movie? I don't know. If I have to pick a battle, it's got to be a World War II battle. Got to be a World War II battle. And then it becomes difficult. Because if you take the obvious choice is something like Kursk. But the problem with picking Kursk is it's a static defense. In a prepared defense. It's going into a prepared defense, which of course is, not exciting. I'm a big fan of the relief for Stalingrad. I'm a big fan of Wintergewitter. Because you got the winter. You got the winter of 42-43, where both sides are kind of even. And the Germans aren't total retards in the winter. Or they have some preparedness. Let's get some toughs out here. I am a big fan of that. I also like my German tanks in gray. My preference. And you don't have to use those dirty SS troops, which I'm not a fan of. That doesn't mean that Wehrmacht were saints or anything, but the SS certainly were. I think I pulled all these out. Okay, dry grass. That's definitely one of the colors. Then we have definitely these. All right, let's back up. Definitely dry grass, because that's the little light colored tufts there. Got it. Then we have this one that has a little bit of red in it. Did I open this and did I pull any of these out? It's not that critical. If I can't tell that much of a difference, then it doesn't really matter. This was before I had that damn box, so. Okay, we're gonna put some of those in there. Okay, those definitely has those two colors in it. Which is this one and this one. Same one, same one. One that is dry with red and green, and one that is green with red. Okay, so the green with red has got to be this one. And that would explain why there's two little ones missing. So that one's definitely in there. And then the other one that is a lighter color with red, it's got to be this one. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this other one that was a candidate and put it inside the tough box. And we're going to leave these four as the only ones out. Not gray field growl. I was talking about the color of the tanks. Good movie, do watch. Okay, cool. Stay there. So. Wait, Panzergrau, that's right. Go Huns, go. Huns is the first part of my surname. Hun Stomper, Hunshitter, Hunsinga. I feel like that's a legitimate last name. Hunsinga. Wer ist Herr Hunsinga? He's ironing his lederhosen. The bad recon there. The first. You've seen ghostly stuff at Gettysburg. I ain't seen no ghost. Haven't seen an alien either. Actually, I've seen aliens. They have a few of them around here. They love tacos. All right. Let's just for good measure pull out 3 of each one per stand. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 12, a dozen of everything. Now these little sneaky bastards are super sticky. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11. We'll just do 11. I'm probably going to have to pull too many. I'll do 11 of each. That'll be more than enough. Lee had diarrhea from eating cherries. You weren't drunk, high, or delirious. You want to go make a sandwich. My kind of cooking. Making a sandwich. Bitch, go make me a sandwich. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll tell you what, I'm going away from using static grass. I like these tufts a lot better. This one. These are big. I'm not going to use as many of them. 1, 2, 3. Counting with Tony. 3, 4. That's a really big one. 5. And then last, and possibly least, close, damn it. Damn Portuguese box. Yeah, huge miniatures. Yeah, huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are larger, so we'll use less of them. All right, that'll at least get stuff out on the table where we can access some different things before we go crazy. All right, what'd I miss here? Longstreet had the best strategic grasp of what needed to be done at Gettysburg. He had the best line in the movie, too. Better get those guys a bucket for all the lead they're going to catch. Or something like that. Was Henry V the genius, or the French were just stupid? I'm sorry, the mainland French. You know what, though? They still lost the war. Oh! I wouldn't want to do any battle that one side is completely defensive. All right. Let's get this out of the way. We're going to do these little ones that don't need any stickums on them. Actually, if I do the white glue on them, they behave weird. So the Australian tufts behave a lot better without anything on them. But we've got kind of this base over here that I'm not real happy with. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this one. All right. Put it around like such. So we're going to put that one down first. Yeah, this brush ain't great. We can go ahead and use it for the glue. The scene where Lee reproaches Stewart. I don't remember it. I've only seen it one time. Maybe I saw it twice. Maybe I saw Gettysburg twice. Man, you're jealous you haven't gotten paint in 3 weeks. Gotta make time. I'm sure you've done something in the last 3 weeks that other people haven't. You can't be into everything. All right. Then these horses have these little like pieces of lead around them to keep them propped up. So we're going to try to cover that up a little bit. Maybe not with something that massive, but maybe with this. No, it's going to take more than that. It's going to take one on this side and one on the other side. All right, fair enough. Cavalry was for recon purposes in the Civil War. When was the last time that cavalry was for shock? Crimean? Were they for shock in the Crimean War? I feel like the infantry had the edge on cavalry after the Italian wars. Once you got firearms and a way to somewhat protect themselves from getting gang raped by impetuous horses, I think pretty much the infantry has the edge. I want to cover that up, but I'm going to do something relatively big to I don't know why they decided to do something so prominent on that horse. Holding him up. I didn't want to cut it off and weaken the figure, so it's not one to behave really well. No Napoleonic Wars. It would have been good if they had included Custer in the movie. So you're saying no, not in the Napoleonic Wars? The Napoleonic Wars already is, the cavalry is overstayed its welcome? Napoleonic, closest thing, 3 arms being rock, paper, scissors. What about before that? What about 7 years? Not as well? Let's take one of these little muffins. These guys are real easy to, these stick down like crazy. These Australian things, I don't know. Vegemite glue or whatever. Yeah, right. I don't know what he uses, but I tried putting white glue in there with them and it just basically does them a disservice. They don't stick as well. We need one of these there. It's a little bit bigger. I think we can handle that. Oh, we don't have any of the this brighter green. We better put some of that there or we're gonna have a problem trying to fit it. Seven-Year War artillery was still being manhandled, therefore it lacked the mobility as in Napoleonic Wars. Vegemite glue, yep. Exactly. I've never tried that. I bet I wouldn't like it. But I don't think I'd be grossed out by it. It's a product that's not gross. If it was, you know, pig's testicles or something, yeah. But oh, you're being insolent. Frederick the Great used indirect attacks to perfection against the French and Austrians. I watched a video on him about a year ago. When we were playing Maurice. I really didn't know much about him. I don't know that I learned that much more about him. But when I was done with the video, I didn't know any less, so. We're going to put this big one back here. Biggin. Have you thought about the run the Hun Horde? Does the CNC fighter hang back? My preference is always to have the CNC hang back. That's always my preference. Hannibal, not Alexander. That's always my preference. No, I haven't given much thought into it. Honestly, these guys are probably going to be used more in scenarios than in actual tournament play. This is not an army that would do well in tournament play to begin with. But mainly, you know, sit back. Manager. Maybe attack when everybody's in the position where they need to be for development. This is the problem with DBA is just these light horse just when you play them on the battlefield, they don't feel like you're moving light horse around. They just don't feel right. One actually conquered a lot of stuff, whereas the other one was a hate-filled little man who got beat in the end. Oh, man. He did conquer a lot of stuff, like, you know, Hephaestion. Oh, man. That one's never going to end. One of them built his army from work for him instead of using Daddy's army. I said it again. I'd rather have Alexander's army, but I'd rather have Hannibal as the commander. Hannibal commanding Alexander's veterans. There is your world dominating recipe right there. You want to do Scythians one day. Napoleon was thought to be anti-monarchist. However, he put all of relatives on thrones, a downfall. Okay. I think we need to wrap this around the other side. Hide that. Let's put some green stuff over here. Okay. And then we'll put this one over here. Well, Hannibal didn't run the whole country. They didn't support him. He did start his own war, which was probably the wrong move, but... Problem Hannibal was is he was the only one in the army that was like that. He had some sub-commanders that were okay, but... The Romans were definitely more competent of an enemy than the Persians were. I mean, the Persian Empire was huge, but, you know. We can do those battles I talked about. Do Hannibal goes and fights the Persians and everybody that Alexander fought, and Alexander goes and fights who Hannibal fought. What am I? Oh, this is that one. So let's. God, I really wish I hadn't done that. Let's put these guys here. Hannibal's army without Hannibal's nothing. Alexander's army without Alexander can still do stuff. Alexander had some really competent people with him that fought with his dad and stuff. Yankees. Because I'm a New Yorker and live in the territory, I'm building Iroquois. Why do they have a French name? Hopefully, I will have 2 elements done this weekend, all fast bow with a couple of war bands and a few Saloy. Aggression 0. Iroquois. Okay, that one's done. 2 more to go. We're getting low on any of these. Got a big ass green one. Where's that one gonna go? Here. Let's go ahead and do that one now. And this stuff's drying up fast. Why is it called the World Series if it's not played all over the world? Like they said, Super Bowl, Super Bowl champions, world champions. The frickin' world's not playing it. It's all, in the U.S. Semantics. You've been reading Armies of the 16th Century by Ian Heath. I have it too. It's a beautiful book. I'm scared of turning the pages. The Iroquois made an army of 8,000 men and marched up the St. Lawrence, wiping out tribes trading with the French. It was business. Canada makes it count as world. I'm glad I'm not into sports. Because shit like, you know, getting rid of the that little cute chief dude for the Cleveland Indians and stuff like that would piss me off. So hey, it doesn't affect me. Actually, Scott's an Indians fan, and he went to a game down in I think St. Pete when they played the Rays. He said everybody in the stands had the old Indians. I don't know what the hell they're called now, the Cavaliers or who knows what. But everybody in the stands was like, screw you, we're still wearing the old stuff. Chief Wahoo or whatever his name is. A cute little mascot. Guardians. Yeah. That's a great logo. Whoever designed them, that's a great little logo. Well, it is played all over the world, but can those teams in Asia and all that, South America, can they compete in the World Series? I bet they can't. I don't know. Just some things just don't make any sense to me. Did give me Catherine Winnick. Do you know that she was given to you? Does she know that? Sorry, your new owner is somebody from Pennsylvania, some guy that goes on some painting show or whatever that. What? Yeah, sorry about that. Need something up here. One of these. Man, this stuff is sticky. Yeah. Well, it is. To the Leadbear Tufts from the land of Oz. Okay. Last one. What will Mitch beat your Huns with first? Oh, his fucking Han Chinese. He's blowing a Chinaman. That's what it is. I'll be honest with you. I haven't played worth a shit with. I love Chinese armies. I haven't played worth a shit with them ever since I boycotted Chinese items. Oh well, I guess I'll just always have to play like shit with them. F them. Battle in Prophetstown, natives versus American army. Treating battle where the natives attack the Americans. I used to watch the NFL in the early 90s because I didn't have cable. That was the only channel I got, so I watched a lot of Monday Night Football. And it was educational. But I'm not affected by who wins stuff. I don't care. It was just something to watch, you know. There was no internet. I probably painted while I had it on, honestly. Okay. What else we got here? What do we got to cover up here? What kind of mistakes, or not really mistakes, but more incongruencies with the where the basing material meets the figure? Too many Allens in NFL. Too much magic bus Wayne. Shall I call a pinball wizard? Yeah. I hear he plays a mean pinball. Huh? You know what I like to say is, if I wanted to see people on there, if I wanted to see people kneeling, I'd go to church. Why would I watch NFL? Time to head out. Okay. Have fun storming the castle. What time is it? It's not that late. And it's not a work day tomorrow for us normal people. People like Mitch have to work tomorrow. Sucker. Oh, he's screwing around on Monday and Tuesday. All right, we need some more grain. things are huge. This one's like hairy caterpillar sized. You have to go herd cats. Yeah, I did that all day every day this week. Herding cats and goat roping. A lot of goat roping. A lot of change. Just a fuck ton of changes this week. Just massive incompetence. I always have this dream that things will just slow down so much that people that are incompetent and really suck at their job are unemployed and I don't have to deal with them anymore, but it never seems to happen that way. They must have dirt on the right people. They know where all the bodies are buried. Your work is mostly administrative, showing the young bulls the ropes. I'm tired of explaining things to people. And people falling for the same shit and nothing being done about it. Oh well. At least I don't think about the place while I'm not there. I really don't. Where did we put that green one? Oh, back there in the corner? Let's put a big fat one here in the front. Let's turn this thing around. So what do you guys do that live in places where it snows? You clean your own driveway out? You pay somebody to do it? Just be annoying to have something else you got to pay somebody else to do. All right, let's take a look at these clowns. See what we're dealing with here. Yeah, we got lots of little doohickeys here. Let's take care of that. This was bought for me by somebody who thought I was going to use this on my car. And I think I would just ruin this in a moment if I use this on the car. Use a shovel or a snowblower. I do it myself, though a neighborhood kid comes up from out of bed and offers to do a few bucks. What's a few bucks? 20 bucks? Less than 5 snow days here. Yeah, It's an adventure. Yeah. Never lived anywhere where I had it. Nor do I want to. Just seems like another version of Mother Nature on the rag. No thanks. I'll pass. Well, let me take my glasses off and see if I can see what's going on here. I'm mainly looking to see if they're consistent across all 5 of them. I think so. I think they look all right. I'm too close to them, honestly. We'll take pictures of them tomorrow. Look better like that. Pay him 2 bags of Old Glory miniatures. Why is this one taller? He's sitting on top of something. It is. That don't make no sense. Quality control at Litco. Okay, well there you have it. There's 5 stands of light horse with many more to come. I'm going to switch and do some bow. I got to do 2 stands of bow. So let's take a look at those guys. Let's move these guys off to the side. We at least need to prep those. It's not even 10 yet. It's not like it's late. Let's take all of these things. All right. I put my glasses so I can find myself. All right, these are the bows that we're looking at doing. Let's get all these guys out here and see what we got. Well, these guys are going to be guys that could potentially be beside the Heffalump. So let's get them the hell out of here. These are bows, but are the other figures that we're not going to use. Got it, because they're from the Tang range. Tang Chinese, all right. Let's see what we got here. And these are also, this is also a ground troop. I'm not going to use him. Let's take a look at what we got. And let me look at the army list. We have a finite amount of these guys. I don't want to order any more. Book 280. Well, for starters, I'm going to build a Shung Nu as well. So the Shung Nu are, I believe, 238. And not the Southern Shung Nu because they don't fight the Han. So they got a Cav General, 2 Cav, 8 light horse, and then a light horse or a foot archer. So I need a Saloy. Here's another guy, it's a foot guy. Okay, I need 1 Saloy. And I don't believe the Book 280 list have any Saloy in them. So the Saloy would only be Shung Nu. Oh, I didn't realize the Heftalites was they only had 1 Cav. Interesting. Okay. And Attila also has a Saloy. So I basically need a Saloy stand. And the Sabres have 5 solid warband or 5 solid horde. Alright, so let's not worry about that right now. I'm not going to worry about the saber guys at this point. The Wizard of Minis does it again. Can you believe just days ago there were just a few wooden bases and some bare metal? Yeah, but it's a lot of hours, Rick. I mean, yeah, it's just a couple days ago, but it takes time. I was just what I did today. It took a long time. And all I did was painted the basing on 4 of these. You know, it does take time. Oh well. You know what? I don't have to do them again. They're done. Okay. These guys. So we've got some minifigs folks here, which are actually in the Tang range. They're called Tushui. And basically they're like Gok Turks. And I got quite a few of them. Well, I have more. I don't know why the hell they're not here, because not all of them are on stands. I knew that for a fact. And I pulled them all out of here the other day. Maybe those are the ones I pulled out. It's hard to remember anymore. Hold on. Who's this over here? Here we go. I'm going to take these guys. The other guys I'm not going to use are these guys right here. These guys are actually in the Tang list. And they're like Nepalese archers or something like that. They got like a cough over their head. There's nothing wrong with the figures. They're not Hunnish enough. So we're going to put these guys back in a bag. Okay, now we got a lot. Because I believe we have 20 of these. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and then we got the 2 that are riding on the Heffalump too. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And unfortunately, all these figures are just 2 different poses. These guys have 1 pose, and these guys have 1 pose as well. So that's kind of sucky. I should have 20 of these, I believe. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. Yeah. I have 20 of these guys, which would be, this is the equivalent of all of the foot for the saber guys. So I need to have a Saloy and then 2 units of fast bow. So I have this many extras. These are my spare figures that I can mix in with these guys to give them some variety. And they should mix in just fine size-wise. So I think I will do that. I think the easiest thing is just for the fast bow. Take 3 of these and take 3 of these guys. And that's what that's going to be. I just do a mixture of them. I can probably mix them up just fine. So let me get 3 pennies and glue these guys down. No, actually Humvees. I don't know. One of the things I was reading about Alexander is the hypaspist were the link between the infantry and the cavalry, and they were supposed to move as fast as the cavalry. So what that means is they should be able to move 3 base widths like the knights. That's the cavalry that we're talking about. the companions. So they should have a movement of 3. So I'm thinking they actually should behave more like Fast Blade than Solid Auxilia. So I'm not too worried about when you make scenarios. I'm not too worried about how things are represented in the army list. If they don't make sense in the scenario, you can give them whatever freaking stats you want. If it helps them behave more like the troop type that they're supposed to be, instead of some make-believe troop type that's supposed to cover 3,000 years of history or 4,000 years of history or 3,500. Anyhow, the early Germans had Saloy skirmishers, and they supposedly fought with the horsemen by holding on to their tails. I bet the horses really enjoyed that. Pull my hair. Yep. Some flash lines on here. Now, I thought about putting some green stuff around his hat. After that, we ain't doing that. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm going to shave this sword down so it doesn't look like something from 1001 Arabian Nights. There we go. Because it is kind of flanged there at the end. Goes wider. Just looks way out of place. Okay. And these light horse are actually really useful. You can use them as lots of different things in corps of a lot of different armies. Yep. Phil Barker doesn't lie. Well, he had to make some educated guesses with some stuff. Some stuff just doesn't exist. So, it never would have occurred to me that the Gauls hadn't written any of their own stuff down, like stuff like that. Like, everything you know about them is from one person's viewpoint, the people that conquered them. Well, not in the sense of the Germans, but from the Roman point of view. I got a set of those little files, and they're worthless for this scale. They're just way too big. Way too large. So we're going to go ahead and base these guys in black. They'll be ready for them in the morning, and then we'll call it a night. Because we got to be up in the morning and do this again. And this is what we're going to start on. Oral histories. The history of oral what? Get one of these shitty brushes we use for this. A dodgy brush. Oh no, I didn't wash these miniatures. The tail end of a German horse might not be the optimal, I think is what you mean it to be. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that'd be the best place either. But standing in front of it probably isn't any better. Maybe those horses like getting their hair pulled. Whatever that means. I'm sure some of those Germans smelled worse than the horse. This brush on black primer is Vallejo Surface Primer. And it works really well. I use this because I was using the Model Master Black and they just discontinued it, and I needed something that was fast flow and doesn't cover up the detail, and this stuff does really well and goes a long way. It is expensive, but it goes a long way. And it flows really well. It's almost like thinned down black paint, thinned down enamel paint. It flows really well. You were thinking about poo dodging. I'd be worried about getting kicked in the head. Yeah. Tripping on road apples. Debbie Sue liked for me to pull her ponytails in the 4th grade, likened it to a game. Well, okay. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these guys up too. Because I may not do what I said I was going to do. I may just use all of this pose on the fast bow. Because I don't think I want to use these guys in this as the Saloy. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out when I get there. Oh, we got to do more of this. This dodgy sword. This stuff covers really well. Oh, forgot about the dodgy sword. Drying time for this primer, maybe an hour. It's not too bad. And you're still gonna miss spots, but it has some polyurethane properties to it, I read. And it doesn't seem like it's very durable, but I don't think it needs to be. It needs to be kind of self-leveling, like it is, and not cover up detail. Oh man, you know, I have been up since 5, and I'm going to be up again at 5. And there's always, you know, a space or two that you miss. But the reality is it's somewhere that isn't a glaring omission. So just a little bit of touch-up of regular black paint there and no problems whatsoever. Last one. Yeah, you can't find any figures of dismounted bowmen for the Huns other than this particular pose by Gladiator. Okay, that's it. We're going to call that a night. How long were we on here? Over 3.5 hours. It's pretty good for a work night. You know, I don't have to work tomorrow, but it's still a night where I did go to work, so. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning, starting at about, before 6